Oh, if you have questions, just let me know, right? Coffee cherry is the only one I have right now. Please take it. Smell it if you want. Toss it on. They're actually red and sweet. During the coffee season, people at coffee plantations, they never stop eating them, you know. They're very, very sweet. The part called mucilage has a lot of sugars, right? So that, and it's red, so we call it coffee cherry. In this case, it's Arabica. We have 10 species of coffees in the world, but from these 10 species, we drink Arabica and Robusta. You know Robusta coffee? Somebody ever heard about it? No? Instant coffee, ice cream, blendings. The espresso blend is usually made with Robusta coffee. Robusta coffee has around 3% of caffeine. Arabica is only 1% of caffeine. So Robusta beans have more sugars inside, so when you roast the coffee, sugar caramelizes, giving a very bitter, harsh coffee for your stomach usually. That's why they blend it, see? It's good for espressos because then it comes out very, very strong, very bitter, nice crema, and it's more caffeinated, of course, but then it's considered low quality. It happens that our Robusta coffee beans are considered low quality because when you roast it, the sugar caramelizes, makes the coffee harsh for your stomach. So if it hurts, you better blend it. See, Arabica, you want to drink it pure coffee as it is. That's what makes Arabica high quality compared to Robusta beans. Arabica has only 1% of caffeine versus the 3% of caffeine that you can find in Robusta beans. The season is over for coffee. October to February is when you're harvesting. There's a massive harvest, right? But there will be coffee cherries year round because the plant will bloom every time it rains. So you go to the plants, to the plantation now, and eventually you find a flower. And that flower, 6 to 9 months later, will be a ripened coffee cherry. 90% of the cases, the cherry has 2 beans inside. The rest 10% will be just 1 or 3 beans that people consider mutations. You can touch them if you want. Well, they're really, really slimy, as you can see.
Oh, yeah.
Slimy coffee beans. They look more like peanuts, you know? At this point, the bean has a lot more caffeine than the espresso bean that we all used to, right? You tell me you produce 10 tons of cherries, it's only 9 tons of waste what you produce actually. See? Because the rest is all water, mucilage, the pulp, and what you use for coffee is the coffee seed. The rest, we use it for compost. Actually, you can see here in the plastic bags, there's all compost. We toss the peels also on the coffee plantation. As they're rot, the minerals go back in the soil. You save a lot of money. Because for coffee, the best fertilizer is coffee. Has the same minerals in it. See, just toss that on the ground and save a lot of money, and it's very good for the coffee plantation. In Costa Rica, we are allowed to produce only Arabica. I mean, Robusta, it's illegal by law. In 1990s, the president was thinking about how do I make these people grow only high quality. Costa Rica is a tiny country, and if you think about Brazil, 35% of the world's coffee, Colombia, 15% of the world's coffee. Those 2 countries, 50% of the world's coffee. And then competing on quantity against these countries, Costa Rica is going nowhere. See, and also when these people have a good season, like this year, for example, we get a low price because they have so much coffee that control the prices. See, so then the president was thinking about how do I fix the prices and the quality of the coffee in Costa Rica, make low quality coffee illegal. It worked very good, and after that, that's why Costa Rica, very good coffee, good reputation, very expensive because it's always Arabica. 1 pound of Arabica will produce around a pound of roasted coffee in a year. That's why it's also expensive. Robusta plants as much as 5 kilos, 11 pounds of coffee, but the coffee is lower quality. People use it for instant coffee and ice creams and blending, things like that, you know. So in Costa Rica nowadays we're allowed only to grow Arabica, but then you don't see coffee growing everywhere because Arabica needs 4 conditions. Volcanic soil for flavors and aromas. That's why nowadays when you buy coffee, they tell you the place where it comes from, because every coffee is different. It's like wine. Coffees from islands are very expensive, like Jamaica or Hawaii, Sumatra. There will be, well, coffee likes 15 to 25 Celsius because then too cold, you kill the plant, and too warm dehydrates the beans. Actually here, for example, it looks like a good place, but during the dry season, the plants don't do very well. So you have to plant bananas and Some other things just to shade the coffee plantation. It goes on the plantation, you know. Plus, it is a windbreak, and the windbreak is in production of bananas. So that will be the idea. They complement each other with the coffee also, because the banana, once it produced, it dies, and then the potassium goes back in the soil. That will be the idea. You don't have to rotate the crop later on, because you're already planting some other things in the same place. So for 15 to 25 Celsius degrees in Costa Rica is from 800 meters to 2,000 meters above the sea level. And it has to be very rainy, because remember, the plant blooms every time it rains. You get a very rainy season and the plant blooms a lot, and then during the dry season you have to harvest. If it rains during the harvest, the beans pick up the water, pop out, they ferment, and then if I sell you fermented beans, you have to roast the coffee with sugar. So it's lower quality, cheaper. You don't want that. See, rainy season to make them bloom, dry season to harvest, 15 to 25 Celsius, that's why in the mountains and in volcanic soil. So one of the properties is missing, and then you cannot grow anymore the coffee. So that's why not everybody grows coffee, Arabica, but once you find a good place to grow coffee, the rest is quite easy. You go to the forest, bring a nice soil loose, mix it with a compost, put it in a specific place of the plantation, take the beans, the berries, you peel them off, toss the beans on the dirt, don't even bury them, just toss them on the ground. Sometimes people cut banana leaves, you put them on and you never water them, and 45 days later when you come back, what you get is this. Coffee soldiers, see? Here, already started to rain, so all over the plantation there will be coffee soldiers. Call them soldiers because they straight with a helmet on, you know? And the soldiers, you get them to plastic bags because that will be a lot easier for you to take them around, take care of the roots. More or less 1 year in the plastic bag, because usually the plants grow as much as their roots. 25 meters tall tree, 25 meters underground, right? So here will be more or less about a year. These plants, for example, they're ready to go in the plantation, because otherwise, well, actually these ones are a lot bigger than what the bag is. So when you take them to the plantation, you have to cut the roots so the plant starts to grow back again, right? That will be more or less 1 year in the plastic bag. Then you go on the plantation, plant them like 1 meter between plants, 2 meters between rows. Also, I've seen some coffee plantations where they plant a coffee farther away, because coffee is the cash crop. It's not the only crop. They grow bananas, beans, corn, all in the same place. If you lose the coffee, you still have bananas for selling. That would be the idea. Yeah, that's why nowadays in Costa Rica you find many more coffee plantations, but we produce less coffee. First of all, it's only Arabica. The plants will produce around a pound per year, and the people are not focused on growing only coffee, but they grow many other things in the same place. From the time you place the bean in the dirt to the time you harvest the first time, it should take 2 years to 3 years, and after that the quality is the same with the pass of the years, but the quantity decreases. When you pay me to pick your coffees as much as I pick, and it has to be hand picked, because remember the plant blooms every time it rains. It means when you visit a plant during the harvest, there will be all type of cherries, green, red, yellow, all colors, over-ripened. So I gotta go just picking the red ones, one by one. And you pay me as much as I pick. So of course I go as fast as I can. And doing that, pick the stems, damage the branches. Next year the plant doesn't produce as much. And after 6-7 years, your plants are 3 meters tall, but they don't produce coffee. You better cut the plants off in order to grow back new branches and start over. To 6 years, cut them again, over and over. During 20 to 40 years, more or less, will be the cycle. Usually when you cut a plant, there's like 60 centimeters off the ground. Next time has to be 15 lower, then lower and lower. When you're almost at the ground, you dig it out and start over. That's why you want to plant coffee in sections. You don't want to start all the coffee plantation today. You start some today and over, so you have coffee with different ages, different stages, and all the time you have coffee to produce. If you just plant a coffee and let it grow, it will be around 15 meters tall and 150 years. More or less, but it's not like good quality, you know, or not as much coffee with you. This is around 4 months old, and this is a cocoa plant, a chocolate plant. Coffee comes from Africa. How about chocolate? You know where chocolate comes from? South America. Yeah, very close. Now, a lot of things that they grow very good in Costa Rica are not native to Costa Rica. It happens that Costa Rica is very new soil, very new land. So things are from South America or North America, from Costa Rica, not many things. And chocolate, actually the first chocolates were made around 4,000 years ago by the Olmecs. And the process we're doing nowadays for chocolate is exactly the same process but using machinery, right? In the case of coffee, how long ago you think people discovered coffee?
5,000 years ago.
5,000 years? 1,500 years ago. Not long ago. But coffee is more addictive than chocolate. Yeah. And happens that you know how they discover coffee? Because the cherry I told you doesn't look like coffee, doesn't smell like coffee, right? How they decided to make it coffee then? The story goes about the shepherd in Ethiopia. There's a place called Kafa. Kafa, coffee, cafe is all the same, right? There's this shepherd that noticed his goats crazy by some reason. And so he's like, what's going on? He follows the goats and finds they are crazy after feeding on the coffee plants. But he doesn't know what these plants are, right? It's just shiny leaves. And, yeah, later on, it happens that the leaves, the plants, they have the leaves for doing photosynthesis. The plants are not interested about having animals that go eat their leaves. It's like no sloth and howler monkeys. They're very lazy. They're feeding on leaves. They're not taking like good things. Feeding on leaves is the worst. So the plants, they have the leaves for photosynthesis, and that's why to avoid the animals, they make alkaloids. Alkaloids are different toxins. All the toxins are on the leaves, right? So the toxin in the coffee, caffeine. The goats were feeding on the leaves, caffeine high. That's why they were crazy. See? So the shepherd, he's a monk, he cuts down the plant to see what it is, brings it back to the monastery, and then these people like to pray long times. They sleep at night. So to stay awake, they were drinking teas. But none of the teas work as good as the coffee tea. And so it was tea with the leaves, see? Then a lot of people from there had to travel to the Middle East, the Arab countries. But then for traveling, it's better the beans, they last longer. And then they find the Muslims not allowed to drink alcohol. Those religious people interested about the caffeine buzz. So they were drinking tea, the coffee tea as well, but they were using the berries. And then berries stored in houses that burn by accident smell really good. When the fire stops, they actually find that the beans conserve their shape. So they take the beans into tea, like Turkish coffee more like. And that's how they discovered that roasted coffee will taste a lot better. And then, well, Europeans start buying spices from the African and Asian countries long ago. And the first place they find roasted coffee beans is in the Middle East. So they call it Arab coffee beans. And once in coffee, it's difficult to stop drinking it. Because they move to their colonies, they bring the coffee with them, and that's how coffee gets into Latin America. So the people here, sugar cane came around 500 years ago from the islands, from Cuba, Jamaica. Originally it's from Africa and Asia. Happens that when they bring the sugar cane, is the most popular beverage. We call it agua dulce, sweet water. Costa Rica is you boil the sugar cane juice, and once the water is gone, you just get the sugar cane syrup. This you dilute it in water and drink it with hot water or hot milk. See? And then changing from that sweet to that bitter, people don't like it. Coffee came to Costa Rica 200 years ago, see? So we grow coffee, but we don't drink it. It's too bitter. People don't like it. It was until the 1900s when people started drinking the coffee. What happens is that to make it better, they add more water, more sugar, milk, just in case, you know. And that's why in most of Latin American countries, people drink café con leche. You start picking after October, depending on the place, because it is up to the rainy season. So there will be many places where they will start picking after July or after December. Here is more or less after October, when there are enough berries to make it profitable, right? You go then, I visit your town, you have coffee plantations, I have many options. You have 2 or 3 weeks left before the beans start to overripe. So the farmers have serious troubles in finding pickers. That's why you see that a lot of people grow whatever they can do with their families. You don't have to worry about finding any pickers, otherwise the coffee overripes and falls off. Or in many places, well, first of all, they pay you per cajuela you pick. One of these boxes, like a bushel, 1 cubic foot, 30 pounds of coffee, and they pay you from 400 colones to 2,000 colones. There will be 80 cents to $4 up to quality. There will be many places where they tell you, well, I pay you $1.50 and you are allowed to take 10% of bad coffee or 5%, or I pay you $4 and you're not allowed to pick bad coffee. In this case then, what the farmer does is Once you're done with the picking, you bring me the coffee, I sample it, it's like a scoop thing, count the berries, 100 berries, and 50 of them are not ripened, 50% of them you got paid. Right, see you tomorrow. That's the only way for you to make sure about the quality, see? So, you pay me as much as I pick, so of course I will be here at 5 in the morning to 4 or 5 in the afternoon, all day long picking. I have to find a good way to pick with both hands, this way. Both hands are free to pick as much coffee as you can pick. With the sack here, because it gets to, well, this one is around 15 kilos, but there are some really big ones, 20, 25 kilos. You need sometimes a hook in your pocket, tied to your shoe, because there are plants that are 2-3 meters tall. How you pick the coffee at the top? Well, you bend it, the plant is very flexible, hold it with your shoe, and then the hook. So pick coffee with both hands. What else? Well, people usually worry about snakes, but there are a lot of other things to worry about, like wasps, bees, these caterpillars, they call ratoncitos, little mice basically. They're very furry, and if you touch them with the back of your hand, you're in trouble. Depending on the person, it's a serious rush. See? Well, you need long sleeves because you're getting scratched from the same branches, the big hat because you're getting sunburn, and from 5 to 4 or 5 in the afternoon. There will be a lot of pickers that only work in the morning or only work in the afternoon, or some people that just go 10, 12 hours per day. Usually the smaller fingers are the fastest. The smaller, the better. It's fine motor skill. So then women and children will be the fastest ones at picking coffee.
How many pickers?
Am I getting famous?
How many pickers do you have?
For this plantation, not many. Like when we have a lot of coffee, 10 pickers will be good enough. And it's like 2 or 3 days later, they're done. And happens that since the plantations are tiny, the pickers migrate from plantation to plantation. There will be many places like in San Jose, Cartago, Heredia. The best place to grow coffee in Costa Rica is San Jose. Right? That's why the city is there. Right? In the beginning, they started selling coffee. Later on, you make money. Development city. So then the people, there are these big monoculture plantations, and they need 1,000. That's what I was saying. 1,000 pickers, and then they have the oxcars that go through the plantation, taking the coffee they already picked to start the process as soon as possible. But in these plantations, they have big troubles in finding pickers because they live closer to the city, so people have the access to better jobs, easier jobs eventually, or you might expect to have one for the next year. Say, you're not thinking exactly on coffee plantation. So what the people do, the farmers do, is provide housing, for example, and I pay you $2, so you don't have to worry about renting a house, for example. Or some places it's housing and feeding, and I pay you only $1 fuel, for example. It depends on how many workers you need and the place where you live. Then there are a lot of migrant workers come from Nicaragua and Panama mostly. They stay at the farms. Once the season is over, better go back to cheaper countries to make it better money-wise. Or a lot of people, what they do is they send their family back because during the coffee picking, remember, smaller fingers are the fastest, so children and women will be the best. And once the season is over, send the children back, and the strong ones move to sugar cane, banana, pineapple, other things that will produce year round. Question? Yes.
How old are the children, the smallest age that work?
I haven't seen like really little children, but like let's say 4 or 5 years. There is no like age, no, exactly. You just go.
Is that why he has 29 grandchildren?
The ones but it makes sense. You know, my grandfather, he says there are 35 siblings, and my grandmother 30 siblings. So it means 2 families are around 70 people. See, and they needed the children to work. Actually, when you go to the supermarket, there's a type of coffee called 1820s. It's the first time Costa Rica exports coffee to South America. 1820s. Yeah. They are exporting coffee to South America. When coffee comes to Costa Rica, it's a big mess. There is Spanish people fighting with the indigenous people. Once the Spanish are almost settled down, the indigenous people kill their animals and burn their houses. It's like, no way. That's why in Costa Rica we don't have ruins. All of them are in Guatemala. Guatemala, that's where the Spanish people were, not in Costa Rica. But it happens that it's already 1800s. They're thinking about independence. Everybody qualifies. Costa Rica doesn't. See? So the president, the one in the 1,000 colonies below Braulio Carrillo, there is a national park, and he appears in 1,000 colonies. He decides to start giving land to the people, But the deal is like, I give you land if you want to plant coffee. Otherwise, there's no deal. See? So Costa Rica, the people start planting coffee, it keeps them busy, and eventually you're thinking about, I might sell this to Europe. That's the idea, sell the coffee to Europeans. And so they start selling the coffee to these people in South America, to Chile, and the president that is selling in 1820s, he is a teacher. And when he is gonna get paid for the coffee, the money that he's getting is less money than what they deal. And then he starts thinking, what do we do to get this money back? So the president starts like, you keep your money and pay me books. See? So Costa Rica trades coffee for books for 10 years. And with that, since he's a teacher, he starts the educational system. See? And well, the people going to school, I have 30 children because I need them to work, but they are going to school. What do? The president made vacations at the same time as the coffee picking, and they freeze the law. Nowadays we have labor law for everything, but not for coffee. So in coffee, everybody can work. I think that's the machine works. And of course we use that one. It's a lot easier, a lot faster, and this machine has a very good advantage. Happens that coffee is considered water processed. Remember that from each coffee cherry you use around 10%. So 10 tons is actually 9 tons of waste. And then the coffee is water processed. Water processed means you peel the coffee beans, soak the beans in water to remove the slimy part. Otherwise, the sugar ferments and changes the flavors of the beans. And if you want to dry them, it takes longer because it's like a jelly that keeps the moisture inside. So you have to remove the sweet part or the slimy part using water. Soak the beans in water. We used to do the water process. So the trough here. You soak the beans in water during 12 hours. After that, it's usually overnight, 12 hours, and then you come back, place constantly moving water through the beans, and just stir the beans also to get rid of the sweet. And once the water comes out clear, because in the beginning it's this color. See? Later on, when the water comes out clear, the coffee is ready, but you need 50 to 80 liters per pound of coffee you process. That's why nowadays we're moving to some other things that will be a lot better. In this case, you don't have to move it by hand. You place the cherries in here, it has a pillar just like that. Then the beans continue to a spin centrifuge, and it separates the sweet part of the beans, and then the beans come down there, ready to go to the grinder. You have to take them to the dry yard. It's not the only greenhouse we have. We have 4 greenhouses, and the other ones they dry the coffee on racks, so the air goes through and dries the coffee a lot faster. And well, there will be a person there, like if you come in December or January, this magic coffee. There has to be somebody all the time going like that in the business, because otherwise the ones at the bottom grow mold and the ones at the top they're very, very dry. Smell it? After that, people don't sleep like 3 days, but it's okay. That's alright. Dark is roasted. It's the only difference. See? There will be a lot of people that ask about what's higher quality, light or dark. I sell you good coffee beans or bad coffee beans, and then you light or dark roasted. It's up to your taste. I just want to make sure everybody's here. Yes. All right. So this is the machine for roasting the coffee beans. You place in here 40 pounds more or less of coffee, 20 kilos more or less. This will spin around. You have to preheat to 200 Celsius. 200 Celsius degrees is propane gas in this case. Nowadays you also use some type of ceramic plate, something similar to the microwave also. Just close that. Once in there, the person that's roasting coffee is looking for colors. It's not that 15 minutes and I got a light. You have to be there all the, it's like baking. You cannot trust the time. You have to be there all the time sampling it until you match the color that you want. Did you see the picture on the wall? When the roaster doesn't have a lot of experience, he needs one of these ones about the size of a credit card. And so you take here and until you match the color that you want. You can also listen to the noises. Remember, the coffee beans have 10 to 12% of humidity left inside before they are gonna be roasted. You put them here. That humidity with the temperature tries to get out. That's why the roasted beans are a lot bigger than the smaller ones, than the ones not roasted. I mean, so you put them here. The humidity tries to get out, swells up until a point where the bean cannot grow anymore. So it pops like popcorn, and that's when you get the light. This one, see? You start here, coffee bean grows until a point when the bean cannot grow anymore, so it pops like popcorn. When it pops one time, that's light. If that's what you want, you also have to cool it down for 5 minutes and then it's ready. You want a dark roast, continue roasting it until a second pop. And in the second pop, the oil comes out, and that's why the dark roast coffee is much oily, shiny. Exactly, but it's not that you place oil or butter or anything. It's just the same oil that comes out in the second pop. And so that's the difference. Light is lesser roasted than the dark roast. That's the difference.
In Italy, they call something black roast. Is it just the dark or is it
It's a very dark roast coffee. The usual names for these coffees, because nowadays every country has their names, and it's cinnamon roast, light roast, city roast, full city, Vienna, French, Italian, and espresso. See, nowadays they change all those names, and sometimes it's blonde roast or moldo, or I don't know. There will be. It depends on the. It's just marketing. This is for children, remember? Okay. Okay, no, the first time we're gonna make it for children.
Children's style.
Now watch your fingers, because these people, this year 200 people have lost their hands in here.
Yeah,
Like this,
right.
clockwise.
Are you ready?
Go, go, go!
That's too easy.
Try nice. But this is children's setting, remember? So this time it gets better.
Good job.
Ahora pongámosle esto, sí, porque ahora sí va a salir jugo. A ver, vamos a sacarle la madre.
Now we're going to squeeze it.
Yeah?
No, it's just getting better. It's okay. Go. Go! So good, we have 200 chains there for this paper. La otra.
Zo, dat komt aardig wat uit hoor.
Ja, hè? 1, 2.
Go! What's going on? Come on. It's not working.
No juice coming out.
Yeah, it's not working.
It's juiced.
No, it's too
Smell
heavy.
it.
It's like 5 more kilos, 5 more liters of water.
There's a filter in it?
This time it's good. What? From Caribbean side of Costa Rica.
It's like what we saw here. Oh, wow.
Oh.
Didn't work.
After
Don't chew it. Yeah, just don't chew it. Like peanuts, isn't it? Okay, we're gonna make a
Wat?
Here,
Allemaal doen?
go.
Are you wasting chocolate? Ja, doe het niet. Bak is klaar.
Go. Better, huh? You're ready. Yes. You can smell it.
Smell different?
Oh, the cacao. I mean the powder.
Does it smell different now when it goes like that?
No, it tastes the same. It doesn't have sugar yet. Sounds good, like rum in it. Moonshine more like. But in this case, it's vanilla. And the secret ingredient.
Vanilla extract.
Very nice. Plus,
Als je hoofd, je hoofd.
Tamarindo. Hola.
¿Qué haces?
¿Qué vamos a hacer ahorita?
A comer pollo rostizado.
¿Tiene otro chile o algo?
¿Está la salsa esa búfalo?
¿Perdón?
Esa salsa que está ahí en la botellita.
Venite aquí abajo. Vení aquí. No, si te vas de aquí para allá. Y espérate que de vuelta. Yo creo que ahorita va a ser pupu y pipí. Wow, ahí sí hemos estado cerquita. Estamos como a 5 pies. Menos. No, cuidado que...
¡Uy! ¡Ahí la toca! ¿Qué estará haciendo ahí?
Mira, este baraña.
Cuidado, ¡Qué bajitica!
Suelo.
¿Pero por qué? ¿Verdad?
Creo que está comiendo ahí raíz.
¿Será?
Otro carro. Gloria,
Ah,
ella viene el 5 de...
Está comiendo el perezoso.
Ah, puede ser.
sí. Ten cuidado, no se te va a tirar así. cana. ¿Cómo se siente el pelo?
Como que fueran pelos de escoba. Bien duro. Bien duro el pelo de él.
You need the flashlight?